What's up, y'all? So, is hormonal weight gain a real thing? Um, and I'll just say the answer is yes, it is. But I believe it's a little bit more to it than I think that we're thinking. What I'm gonna do in this video is I'm going to kind of like present some information that I kind of gathered from researching hormones and their effect on weight gain. So you can kind of see what I mean. Now, hormonal weight gain is something that people have asked me about from time to time. Now, me being a personal trainer, I can only speak about stuff to a degree, you know. And of course, again, I'm one who's very interested in the whole spectrum of health and fitness. So I do my own research. That's why I'm recording this video. But what I do want to say before we get into the rest of the video, which I pull up a whiteboard and all this kind of stuff, what I do want to say is don't lose heart, because what I believe you'll find is that even if impairment in your hormones is causing weight gain to some degree, it doesn't mean that some kind of way you are without options. Okay, it doesn't mean that it's impossible for you to lose fat. It doesn't. It doesn't. And I'm going to get into this a little bit more later, but you have to really understand this. You can't just gain fat out of thin air. Hormones definitely can affect fat gain. However, hormones don't create fat. Okay? Fat, remember, is a unit of energy. Remember, it's a unit of energy and it just can't come out of nowhere. Okay? So I don't get ahead of myself. Let me go ahead and cut to the next part of the video. I hope y'all are benefited and you enjoy this. All right, y'all. So let's kind of break this down a little bit. So I will preface this by saying, so my background is I'm not like a college professor or a scientist, I'm an engineer. And so a lot of times what I'm trying to do is I'm really kind of trying to make sense and connect information and whatnot. So this is me kind of like looking at the information on like hormone related weight gain and trying to make sense of it all and connect the dots. Okay. So just understand that, make sure you do your own research. Now, when I look at hormone related weight gain, something that people ask me about, um, this is how it appears to me. Look on the you see I have this cycle here. So if you look at this, you have where impaired hormones equals excess weight. So there are ways that your hormones can get messed up that can lead to excess weight based on what I've learned. Okay. And this is what a lot of people kind of like seeing as kind of like the issue. Man, my hormones are so messed up and it's that's why I can't lose weight. And so yes, that is to an extent true. But the thing to understand also is that excess weight itself can lead to impaired hormones. Okay, which those impaired hormones can come back and kind of lead to excess weight. So the way I've seen it is that's why I wrote it as a cycle, because one thing can kind of seem to beget the other thing. Okay. And I'll kind of explain what I mean here as I go. Hopefully this is kind of clear. Again, this is just me trying to assess the information myself. Now, let's look at this side of the cycle. Impaired hormones equaling excess weight. Like I said, there's ways it appears that your hormones can get messed up and it can lead to excess weight. So let's kind of like think about a few things. I'm going to use the color red here so it stands out. So, for example, you have what's called hypothyroidism. Probably heard of that. Hypothyroidism is a situation where your body's producing too little of a thyroid hormone, and your thyroid is very much associated with like your metabolism. Now, metabolism, I think, is a lot. There's a lot of misunderstanding in there, but metabolism is specifically having to do with the energy that your body uses to just do all the various processes that are going on to keep you alive. And just to kind of paraphrase from a definition I got, I try to make sure that I link to all the things I looked at in the description. Um, Metabolism has to do with energy required to support bodily processes that happen as your body converts food to energy. So hypothyroidism can apparently slow that down, the conversion of food to energy, I'm guessing, or the I don't know. But it can slow your metabolism down, and that can contribute to um weight gain. Okay. And so, again, I believe that is so metabolism is energy required to support bodily processes that are happening um, as the body converts food to energy. Okay. And so something about that slows down to the degree that it can cause your body to gain weight. So, and I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I'm not sure if that's saying that the bodily processes slow down or the conversion of food to energy slows down. But either way, whatever happens, it can cause your body to gain more fat. Okay. Then you have something called Cushing syndrome. I'm just gonna write Cushing's. Cushing syndrome is a situation when your body has excess cortisol. We tend to associate cortisol with stress. It's associated with other stuff too, but we tend to associate it with stress. But apparently, it can cause weight gain. But it's not that a hormone is fattening. It's just that when you have a lot of that hormone, it can tend to cause the body to become more fat by way of like increasing your cravings. And apparently, it causes a decent amount of fat gain in the face or something like that. Um, and the cortisol can also cause fat gain, in particular in the midsection. Okay. Then you have like um you know diabetes. I say type 2. I just write type 2. Now, type 2 diabetes is associated with what you call insulin resistance. Insulin made by your pancreas is a hormone, and it's a hormone that essentially allows your body to use um energy in the form of glucose converted from like carbs and sugars and stuff like that. It allows your body to pull that into its cells to kind of use for various processes. What happens is with type 2 diabetes, your body, for some reason, is like impaired in getting enough insulin to make up for all the energy, all the sugar and stuff in your blood. And so um like a lot of times this is through insulin resistance where your body maybe it's producing so much insulin because you're consuming so many sugars and processed carbohydrates um that your body starts to become resistant to its own insulin, or your pancreas tends to kind of like not produce enough, and sometimes that can be associated with like type 1 diabetes too, but I don't want to get into all that. But anyhow, my point is that's also associated with an impaired hormone kind of thing that can lead to excess weight. When you have high insulin, then your body can kind of start getting tired of it. But also that high insulin means that you're getting a lot of that stuff pulled into your body cells, and including your fat cells, and so you gain weight. Okay, so these are like three of I think a few different kind of things that can kind of be associated with an impairment of hormones that can cause excess weight. Now, here's the thing. There's something called and I'm going to change this color here, the first law of thermodynamics. Now, thermodynamics is a branch of physics that's associated with stuff like heat and energy transfer and stuff like that. And I actually had to take thermodynamics as an engineer in college. But The first law of thermodynamics is you probably heard it before. It says that energy can't be created or destroyed. It can be changed. Specifically, it can change from one form to another. So energy doesn't just occur. It doesn't just kind of like appear from nowhere. It comes from something else. It can be converted from one thing to another. So the reason why I say that is because a lot of times what people think about weight gain, they think that my hormones are messed up and then the fat comes out of nowhere, no matter how I eat. Okay. And so what I'm trying to help you understand is that in that manner, that's impossible. You can't, it's not the hormones in and of themselves are not just kind of creating fat out of thin air. That can't happen. It's still associated with good old fashioned calories. Okay. And that said though, when it comes to like for example, Cushing's disease. Cushing's disease is associated with excess cortisol, which encourages fat gain, especially in like your face and in your abdomen. But it encourages fat gain. So some kind of way the excess presence of that hormone causes it also increases your cravings too. So you see, it encourages you to take in more energy that gets stored in these specific places. Okay. So the point I'm making is it's not that your impaired hormones just kind of causing fat to come out of nowhere. Okay. And I just really want to dispel that because that's what a lot of people think is happening. It's like, well, I can't lose weight because, my hormones are messed up. But there's still an aspect of like energy consumption that is a clear entry point, if you would. And let me not get ahead of myself. So you can't just gain fat, I think, just from your hormones being messed up, so to speak. There's still like a caloric component. It's just that messed up hormones can kind of like cause you to, they can encourage fat gain, by virtue of increasing your cravings or slowing your metabolism or messing up your insulin levels or making you resistant to your insulin, different things like that. Now, let's go to the other side over here. Now, I'm obviously not exhausting this subject, but I'm just gonna try to give you like an idea. So, excess weight can lead to impaired hormones. How specifically? Because let me write this down. Leptin is a hormone that is actually produced by your fat cells. Your fat is not just like this evil thing. It's actually like an organ itself. And so your fat cells are associated with the production of leptin, which is a hunger related hormone. And if I'm not mistaken, because I've talked about this before, it's supposed to help to regulate your appetite. However, you can get what's called leptin resistance that makes you less responsive to your body's leptin. So, in other words, you would think that if you produce more leptin, you'd be better able to regulate your appetite. But when you get past a certain point, then you produce so much leptin that your body starts to get resistant to its own leptin. Therefore, you actually start to you are less able to regulate your appetite. Okay. Um. Okay. Carbs. Now, I run the risk of kind of like being misleading by just saying carbs because carbs aren't evil the way that we make them out to be. They're not. They're actually a good energy source, in particular when they're natural sources like, plant foods and things like that. It's when we get into the sugars and whatnot, um, that this becomes an issue. Okay. Actually, let me kind of put a pause on that because I don't really want to talk about that on this side of here. So let's actually kind of like let's get rid of this over here because I'm specifically want to talk about how the weight itself can cause impaired hormones. Okay. Now, estrogen. Now, your body your body fat has an impact on your estrogen levels because apparently your body does your fat cells do produce some estrogen. Now, all the mechanics of this are kind of unclear, so I don't really want to say a whole lot about this. but estrogen, in and of itself, is associated with weight gain to some degree. Okay. And now I don't want to get too much into that because it's a little more complicated um than I really feel qualified to talk about. Okay. Um so anyhow, oh, and then you also have what is it? Inflammation. And what's the other thing that I wanted to talk about here? Um so it was okay, leptin, estrogen, inflammation. It'll come to me. Now, inflammation in particular can lead to fat gain. Your body cells, um, when you have excess fat, that definitely raises your inflammation levels. Your body is more like because your fat cells tend to produce more cytokines, which are like messengers, immune system messengers that kind of tell your body, okay, there's an issue here and we need to attack that. So you figure if you have more cytokines, then it makes your body kind of more responsive to um stuff, threats and things like that. And so it raises your inflammation levels, which inflammation is not necessarily a bad thing. It's actually necessary. However, excess body fat can lead to excess inflammation, which apparently can lead to more body fat itself. Okay. Now, what's the point that I want to make with all this? For those of you who are concerned that messed up hormones are causing you to gain fat, here's what I want to tell you. This cycle right here has various entry points. And what I mean by that is there are various things that you can correct, so to speak, or that you can, I'll say, that you can address on your own that can improve this situation. In other words, they can improve like your body's hormone levels where they kind of help get them where they're supposed to be. And there's things that you can do also as entry points in this part of the cycle that will improve your weight. Even if your hormones are kind of messed up or whatever you perceive that they are, and make sure you go and get all that stuff checked. I'm not telling you nothing in that regard. I'm not a medical professional, so I'm not trying to give you medical advice. But my point is, you have entry points. You have entry points into this whole cycle that you can kind of break in, and you can deal with some aspects of hormonal weight gain on your own. So let me explain what I mean. Okay. Okay. So so what causes impaired hormones? And then what causes excess fat? And that's body fat. Okay. So let's start over here. We have a lot of things in our society, in our world today that mess with our hormones. A lot of things. A lot of things. I'm typically wary of doing it, like especially like when it comes to taking medication that's hormone related or whatever. I'm wary of those things just because of the very strong effect they can have on the human body. Okay, but what causes impaired hormones? So fragrances and anything with fragrance like lotions, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, and I'm especially talking about stuff that has like unnatural fragrance and stuff like that. So then you also have hair products. Okay, you have plastics. Plastics are a big thing. There's so much plastic in our society now. Like apparently there's plastic. You can find plastic anywhere around the world now because it's pushed out into the air by these factories that produce these various chemicals and plastics and whatnot. So it's a lot of plastics that are just out in our atmosphere and they're actually in our bodies. And so it's crazy. It's crazy to live in today's world means to have plastic in your body to some degree. Pesticides. Um, okay. and then poor sleep because your body is doing a whole lot of regulation and whatnot as you sleep. And when you miss sleep, then what happens is it can that in and of itself can kind of affect your hormones in a negative way. Um, High stress, some stress is normal, so keep that in mind. And some stress is good too. So, just keep that in mind too. But high levels of stress over a long period of time, it's not good. We're not really designed for that. Um, Too much light at night. So light coming into your eyes at night can affect like your melatonin and whatnot, which will make it hard for you to sleep. Um, so it can mess up your hormones that way. What else can impair your hormones? Sugar and excess processed. Sorry, but for the sloppy handwriting. Carbohydrates. Okay. Excess fat, because fat is an endocrine organ. Then when you have excess fat, that in and of itself messes up your hormones. Okay. And then dairy can be a big thing. So it's a good idea to not really have a whole lot of dairy. Let me move this down. And then alcohol. Okay. So now this is not necessarily an exhaustive list. Okay. But this kind of gives you an idea of all the things in our society that affect our weight. Or I mean not our weight, but our hormones. It's a lot of things out there. So if you really, really want to like try to make sure as far as your actions are concerned, that you kind of, help your hormones to be as good as possible, so to speak, you need to try to make sure you're not using unnatural fragrances and unnatural hair products, not eating food that comes out of plastic, or warm plastic in particular, or drinking a whole lot of bottled water. You don't know if the bottled water was in heat or not. So, not using a lot of plastic around your food, saran wrap, all that stuff. Trying to minimize your pesticide exposure, getting good sleep, doing things to intentionally reduce your stress. Once the sun goes down, trying to make sure that you go and get to bed or reduce your light exposure, lowering your sugar consumption and excess carbohydrate consumption, especially processed, lowering your body fats, which we just talk about over here. You don't want to consume whole lot of dairy, and then also alcohol. You want to minimize that. I saw something. I'm not gonna go too much into that, but I saw something that said even modest consumption of alcohol can affect your hormones. Now, what causes excess body fat? So being sedentary can cause that. Sugar and excess carbs, like I said over on the other side, especially processed. Okay, poor sleep, low muscle mass. Okay, what else? What else? These are some. Let me see. Of course, eating too much. Now, I don't think that eating excess calories is as big of an issue in today's world as far as causing obesity. I think the main thing that causes obesity in our society is more so eating the wrong kind of food. I believe that that's really the big issue. Because before it would be more so like gluttony when you didn't have all the, all these different kind of processed foods that have hyper sugar and they're so broken down that they shoot your blood sugar up and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, so these are kind of like the big things that cause excess fat. Okay. So if you are sedentary, not moving a lot, you're not designed to be like that. That's obviously going to like reduce the energy output that you have. And eating a lot of sugar and excess processed carbohydrates, obviously that's going to cause your body to bring in a whole lot of that unused energy into your fat cells and increase your fat. Poor sleep in and of itself can cause well, I probably shouldn't put that on this side because it's more so the fact that it affects your hormones that it can cause that. But I'll just leave it there. Low muscle mass. Muscle is very metabolically active tissue, which does decrease without use. And so whenever you're losing muscle, don't have a lot of muscle, then it's easier to gain fat. And then obviously eating too much is something that'll contribute to excess fat. So the main thing I want to give to you is this, helping you to understand you have entry points. You have entry points into the cycle of hormonal weight gain. You do. And so if you're willing to kind of make some changes to these things, then you should be able to see results. Now, I'm not saying don't go see your doctor and all that stuff. You know, you should and get various things checked and whatnot. Sometimes people have more significant issues with hormones that, I don't know, could, use some medical attention. But my point is, you are not without entry points. You can't just gain weight because your hormones are messed up. There's also another component. There's something causing it, is all I'm trying to say. Okay. Let me know what you think about what I presented here. I really want to know, like, what do you think about hormonal weight loss? What are your concerns about it? All right. Have a good one. As we get older, it becomes increasingly important to maintain and build muscle. Muscle helps you burn fat, stay mobile, and can contribute to longevity. However, many people have no idea how to work out to build muscle. My mini workout series on Patreon provides you with my body weight mini workout video library. These workouts use little to no equipment, which means that you can do them in the privacy of your own home. They start at beginner level and progress from there to ensure you continue to see results. Every workout is a full body workout, hitting chest, back, legs, and glutes, as well as other muscles in between. Become a patron today and receive access to my series of mini workouts, plus access to a digital copy of my book, 8 Weeks to Transform Your Diet and Your Health. By combining the workouts with healthy diet changes, as outlined in my book, you'll definitely be on your way to weight loss, improved health, and visible results. Join me at patreon.com/Sean B2B Fitness today. Check it out. Does this describe you? You're a person who already exercises, or you have significant experience with exercising in the past. You're self motivated. In other words, you don't mind pushing yourself. You'll go out there to the gym or to wherever you work out and you'll push yourself. You're not getting the results that you want with your current routine, your lifestyle routine, your workout routine, and you need an expert to help you to pinpoint the areas that you need to tweak so that you can finally get the results that you want. If this describes you, my customized workout and wellness program is probably just a thing for you. So it includes the following. It includes an initial virtual fitness consultation so we can see exactly where you are. It includes 4 weeks worth of workout routines that are customized based on your goals. It also includes specific diet recommendations, also customized based on food journaling that you provide to me, and I give you feedback and tips to change your diet to a healthier one that supports your goals. And then finally, it includes exercise tutorials that I've created myself to guide you through some of the moves. If you're interested in one of my customized workout and wellness programs just for you, make sure you click below, click the link, and go ahead and fill out that questionnaire, and we'll go ahead and get the process started. I look forward to helping you.